All right. Welcome, everyone, to another highly educational, perfect soulmate show. Big welcome to our 11 new subscribers. This is relationship coach Ben, here to answer all of your relationship questions. So, for anyone new here, please tell everyone you know, online and offline, that I am here for them if they need my highly intelligent, wise, and useful advice, absolutely for free. Aside from my beautiful book and unforgettable video course, today we are going to review a couple of articles discussing evil, manipulative, controlling wives who seek to abuse their husbands, or who are currently abusing their husbands. Something that many people don't bother to discuss because it simply involves men suffering from abuse. So many times we hear about, I don't call them men, by the way, they don't deserve to be called men, these out of control males abusing their wives. We've heard that plenty of times, but it also works both ways. So, since the majority of my viewers are males, men, I'm going to be addressing mostly male topics, but it concerns the females out there as well, because it always works both ways. Until I have more women speak up on my channel and ask me questions that are more leaning towards their issues, then I'll be glad to do streams and shows about those topics. But if you don't speak up, it's mostly men by statistics. So let's go ahead and proceed, shall we? All right, so first of all, on the chopping block here, got a lot to discuss. Abuse is abuse. Needless to say, it works both ways. But since the majority of my viewers are male, let's go ahead and address abusive wives. If she slaps you, throws objects at you, breaks things when she's angry, loses complete mental and emotional control, it's time to consider your own personal safety. Do you want to wake up in the middle of the night one day to your out-of-control wife beating you up with who knows what? Or standing over you with a knife and a psychotic face? Just because she's a female doesn't mean she's sane. And the word sane means of healthy mind, by the way. How about waking up every morning and going to sleep every night arguing nonstop about the smallest, most insignificant things? Or always being worried on the defense about what she'll do or say to you next? This is not the happy life you deserve. So, you're not supposed to stay in the relationship whether you're married or not. Doesn't matter if you're married or not. If your partner's doing these things and you stay in the relationship, now it's your fault, just as much as it is her fault, because you chose not to do anything about it. And that's truly sad, because most men in this case, they divorce and they finally break up, and then they start hating all women, and they go immature, completely naive, no wisdom, no intelligence, and they start hating the entire gender. It's just, no, that was just as much your fault because you didn't get out in time. Oh, because of the kids, because of my job. No excuses. That was 100% on your shoulders. Be a man and man up to it, just like a woman's supposed to woman up to it as well. It works both ways. I'll always say that. So, do you want a happy life? That's my question for you. Because you have to take responsibility. Don't go your own way whining and complaining for the rest of your life, because you had your chance to make it right or to save yourself in time. Because it's nothing but destruction when it comes to abuse. There is no getting better. And sometimes there are no second chances, because a second chance could be your last. You won't even live to see a third chance. That's how dangerous these situations are, whether it is the male or female who's the aggressor. I personally know, for example, someone who is being 100% manipulated, controlled, and abused every single day. Yet, he has absolutely no clue that he's being used by his wife. Maybe he does, but he's too scared to do anything about it, as I said. My friends and I personally tried our best to warn him of her obvious covert narcissism. All the red flags were there. This absolutely disgusting female completely ruined her husband's life by manipulating him into estranging his loving parents. Parents that anyone would love to have, including myself. She completely brainwashed him to never speak to his parents ever again. Imagine, the world's best parents, they spoil you with love and kindness all the way into your 40s and above. And then all of a sudden, the child, the now man, grown-up adult, a grown man, completely just rejects his loving parents simply because she doesn't like them. And there's absolutely no reason for it. It happens all the time. This is the worst case of estrangement I've ever seen in my life. At least I have a reason to estrange my abusive parents and family members. But this guy, absolutely no reason whatsoever. Everybody would absolutely love to have parents like his. But he just did a 180 like nothing. So, completely brainwashed. He simply refused to listen to any of us, including his friends. He's the same guy, by the way, that I mentioned before having almost 10 failed relationships, all of them involving abuse of some kind. Yet he never learned from his mistakes nor his experiences. Now he lives completely under her control. Can you imagine that? Can you just stop and really think about that? Here's this little female completely controlling your son. What if you're his father or his mother? How sad, how deeply sad would you feel about that? That your son does a complete 180. The only thing you're left, because as I advise them, the only thing left that you have to do or say is, well, I tried. I was the best parent I could be, and I have to leave it at there. Just like in my case, I was the best son that I could be, and I went above and beyond any of my other siblings. It never was enough. So my parents, they're just abusive. And some people, when they flip the coin and they fall on the evil side and they choose to remain that way because they have no choice. It's in their blood. It's in their soul. They're possessed by evil itself. There's no coming back, people. Could be your parents, your brother, your sister, I don't know, friends, colleagues, you name it. I mean, evil is evil, and it's a real big mystery. Love is beautiful. But for some reason, there's always an equal negative energy to almost everything. I'll give a simple example before we move on. You could have a car that gets you from point A to point B. You could have a weapon that defends yourself. But people are always going to use these instruments to do evil acts of violence, right? Deadly acts of violence even. Or they might take their own lives. You never know. But let's go ahead and stick to the stream, shall we? Because evil comes in many forms and it possesses many people. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It's pretty sad but true. It's just a reality that we have to face, the possibilities. So just be vigilant. And that's why I always preach to stay positive, to stay loving. You can put people in their place if you have to, but keep an eye on your own health, because many times it's not worth it. It's not worth going out of your way to combat evil in this world. If you can, sure, if you're strong enough. But don't spend your whole life like some vigilante, because you're being a one-man army, you're going to need some help. Because emotionally, mentally, it's going to drain you. And then you might even actually end up becoming the very thing that you were fighting in the first place. Let's go ahead and move on to this article. Well, there's two articles. I took snippets of them, and I'm going to be providing, as always, my viewpoints on everything that I read here, whether I agree or disagree, or whether I have something to add or to take away. All right, so the lady here writes, the internet and media offer many stories about abusive men using physical power, financial control, and emotional manipulation in relationships. There are checklists for women to recognize the signs. There's always signs, people. There are checklists for society to recognize the signs of an abused woman. There are shelters for women who run from abusive partners. But what about abusive women? I don't dare call them women. Abusive females. That's what we're discussing. What about them? Many people don't even mention them. Well, that's the purpose of this stream. All right, what do we have here? Because I haven't even read these articles. I just took the bulk of it, the meat and potatoes. So shall we? Men are unlikely to raise their hand and admit that they are being victims of abusive wives and also abusive mothers or siblings. Keep that in mind. A lot of males out there, they're too scared. They may find it embarrassing to admit that they, who are physically stronger and are often the main providers for the family, can still be mentally and emotionally trapped in an abusive relationship. Yep. It's just as sad as a woman being abused. It's the same thing. It goes both ways, and this is proof of it. Just a small little bit of proof. There are no shelters for abused men. And why would they need shelters anyway? Besides, more often than not, men may not even recognize they are in an abusive relationship. See, that's the problem. Where's the intelligence? Where's the wisdom? You should know the red flags. You should know. This is why it's so important to care about the topic of love, the realm of love. If you just excuse it as some Disney nonsense, you're going to be likely abused or just have a failed relationship in the future. Or you might end up being the abuser for being ignorant, for willingly choosing to be ignorant without wisdom or purpose. How do we indeed know that something is off in the relationship? Got to be vigilant. If we don't know what a healthy relationship is supposed to look like. That's precisely why I wrote my book and I created my 1-hour video course. I show you precisely what a perfect relationship looks like, what it's supposed to feel like. Almost 1,000 hours total of my time to do the explanation. I can only do so much in 100 streams and so many videos. It should be required reading and required viewing. That's just the end of that. So let's go ahead and continue, shall we? Because then you won't have to deal with situations like these. You might say, oh, that'll never happen to me. And then it happens. Now it's your fault. There's no preventative maintenance there. No contingency planning. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't matter who rules the house. You know, nobody's supposed to rule the house. Both of you are supposed to rule the house as a team. That's why we say treat her like a queen, but she has to treat you like a king. It always goes both ways. There's no such thing as the pants of the house. That's so immature. That's, oh my goodness. But it matters how you feel about it. Yes. So, how would you actually feel in an unhealthy relationship? Always miserable. You are always to blame. Yeah, this is about not taking responsibility for yourself. You know, this is what abuse, that's the way it always works. You know, the narcissists. The ones who try to place the blame on you when they're the clear cause. Even if they know it, they don't care. And they'll never change. Everything you do and how you do it is criticized. Well, you know, it's good to have feedback if it's productive criticism. But if it's negative, destructive criticism, very aggressive, very illogical, there's differences. It's okay, but it's not called criticism. It should be called advice. Or pointers or feedback. The word criticism it's too powerful. You have to back off, especially when you're talking about a relationship. But nevertheless, I understand what's being said here, so let's continue. Your achievements are undermined. That's a big one. Didn't you know that the neighbor is more successful and has a better car? Oh, that's a huge red flag. So that's all about interest, not love. You are often put down, humiliated. Doesn't matter if it's behind closed doors or publicly. I've seen both. Belittled and laughed at. You know, there's so many immature couples out there laughing at each other, and I don't laugh. I'm like, that's sad. You guys think that's funny? That's so immature. Wow. Unbelievable. Often in front of other family members, if you dare say something in your defense, you get the usual, I've sacrificed my life for you. That's my mother right there. Narcissism to the core. And you ungrateful. I mean, even when I was in my 20s and 30s, she still talked about when I was in her womb, in her sacrifice. Why did you have 4 kids then? So you can blame them you can hold that above their head for the rest of their lives into their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, however long they last. I mean, how sick is that? But it could be anything that they hold over your head, trying to make you feel guilty in order to manipulate and control you, whether it's your wife, your mother, or whoever. Then the text depends very much on the wife's general politeness levels and social background. Okay, well, let's go ahead and proceed, shall we? With time, it becomes easier not to show initiative and do as you are told. No, that's bad. See, now you're becoming a pushover. That's a weak man right there. Not that you won't get criticism, but at least you can always say, you asked me to. You feel reluctant to take any initiative or come up with creative ideas. Yeah, this is fear. This is how evil operates, via fear in anything. I don't watch the news for that reason, by the way. But if your partner is dishing out nothing but fear, that's the form of control and manipulation that is a huge red flag. It doesn't matter how small it is. Don't ever joke it off either. Don't laugh it off. Just take that stuff seriously. Because like I said before, no arguments is the goal. No differences is the goal. Because opposites don't attract. If she's abusive and you're not, it's not going to work out. You see that? The opposites do not attract in that case. Then there's many more cases I can point out where opposites do not attract. So never make a blanket statement like that. That, oh, opposites attract. No, they don't. Stop being naive. You agree with everything your wife says. That's a pushover. Now, that's the goal. You guys are both supposed to agree on everything in life because you toss out all the silly disagreements that aren't worth disagreeing over if love is the goal. So there's no compromise. There shouldn't be compromise, especially with the things that you want or strongly desire. So this right here, agree and disagree, I can talk about that all day. Everything your wife says, that's kind of like a blanket statement. So it's not about agreeing or disagreeing. Is you should disagree with things that are unhealthy. Mentally, emotionally, or physically unhealthy. Unhealthy practice, unhealthy way of thinking, unhealthy conversations that go nowhere, they go negative. So it depends what you're disagreeing with. So take that with a grain of salt, number 2 here. It's just easier so that you avoid arguing about everything. Well, you see, you shouldn't be arguing. You should be having discussions about things that you clearly disagree with. See the big difference there? One is aggressive, arguing. The other is peaceful and understanding, discussing. You guys got to clear things up. If it's a significant disagreement that means a lot to you, you have to talk about it. You can't avoid that. It requires a huge level of maturity on both ends, you and your partner. That's why everything matters in a relationship. And, you know, I can't go just fast through this whole thing like that. I mean, you have to stop and really smell the roses when it comes to disagreements that you're going to take for granted. You're going to say, oh, it's nothing. 10 years down the line, one year down the road, it doesn't matter when it happens. The very next day, the very next hour, you guys are exploding over that disagreement that you guys thought was petty, small, insignificant. And now it just causes the entire breakup, whatever it is. Conflicted beliefs and arguments. It's in my book as well. If you are asked by other people and your wife is around, you show off a silly, fearful smile. Oh boy, that's fear. And repeat the party line. Sorry, the wife's line. If you do happen to have your own opinion, it's safer to keep it to yourself or else. See, that's living under that fear of violence or repercussion, consequences. That's abuse. That is so horrible. And that's just another demonstration of weakness on the male's behalf. And of course the female's the abusive female but I mean, you're just joining her is what I'm saying. You shouldn't join the abuser in being weak. That's not the goal. You have to be strong and say, no, enough is enough. I'm not going to be a pushover. You have to stand up for yourself. See, that's why I make a clear distinction between strong males and weak males. So strong men, because you earn the right to be called a man. You deserve to be called a man because you're strong, you're confident, you're loving, you're caring. You love the topic of love. That's what a real woman is going to desire. And she has to be the same way. That's what a real man's going to desire. All these wannabe men and wannabe women out there, all these weak males and females, they don't deserve anybody in this life. And those are the abusers. Those are the life wasters. They don't know what they want. So that's why they spin around like the Tasmanian devil and destroy everything, including themselves. And their own little out-of-control tornadoes. Now and then you lose your guard and dare voice your opinion when alone with your wife. You either get heavily criticized, belittled, and shut down, or you get manipulated along the lines of, I mean the best for you and the family and you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, she's going to control everything if you allow that. Not to worry, the risk of voicing your opinion vanishes as years pass by. Exactly. You're being domesticated like a pet cat. So all you have left to say is meow. Nothing intelligent, because she owns you on a leash. Because you allowed it to happen. Because you entered the relationship weak. Just like the example I gave you guys earlier. About the guy who became completely brainwashed, manipulated, and controlled. And estranged everybody that ever cared about him. Friends and family members. Including myself. We cared everything about this guy. And he tossed it away. Because she was next in line to abuse him and be the worst. It happens. Sorry to hear about it, and it also goes both ways. I always have to say that. So you feel voiceless. See how powerful your voice is? So if you make a comment on this channel, you're demonstrating your power. It's not because it's my channel. It's because you're expressing yourself. At least express yourself on other people's channels if it's not mine. But I don't understand the fear, because you shouldn't be fearing me. I'm here to help, if that's the case. Or it could be laziness, but it says a lot about you, if the shoe fits. Voiceless and deprived of the freedom of speech. Isn't freedom of speech one of the basic human rights? Not nowadays. Not politically, not socially. You gotta be very careful what you say these days. People get triggered on a dime. So number 3, you behave differently with your wife around. Yeah, because it's fear. This is going to be the main theme, is fear. You don't genuinely laugh and joke. You don't freely express yourself. You are tense. You don't enjoy yourself. Maybe that's what's going on with all the silent people out there. And they have no idea they're being abused by whoever in their lives. Not just partners. If they even have a partner. Your smile is unnatural. You actually don't feel like smiling, but your wife will tell you off if you don't smile. Yeah, so she's going to make you do things and say things and think things. And ironically enough, I've actually met people within a certain immature movement online that they'll tell you that. They'll even dish out death threats, and they'll say, if I'm going to tell you how to think and what to say, and don't you ever talk about this person, they're communists. And that's abuse. That's abusive behavior. It's not political. It's actually violent, aggressive, abusive behavior. And ironically, they're supposedly standing for our freedoms, which is 100% not true. But let's move on. Your friends who have known you for decades can definitely tell the difference between the true you and the fake you. That was the situation in this case, yeah. But of course, you don't spend too much time with your friends nowadays. And your wife's friends don't notice and don't care anyway, so it's all good. You feel like you lost yourself and your true identity. You feel fake. Yeah, so you start to doubt your very existence when one is abused. And you see that? That's exactly what this psychopath did to my friend. Is she completely took him away from everybody. And we had a perfectly functioning relationship, as friends. And so what she did was turn him against everybody who actually loved him and cared for him. And so he doesn't know anything else. And so he just lives at home with about 7 or 6 cats, all these cats running around, and with this psychopath by his side on a leash. Number 4, you hate coming back home after work. Yeah, you fear coming back home from work. This is what a lot of abused wives go through. So it does work both ways. So the guy's going to stop by at the bar, stop by at maybe go window shopping, and it's really late at night or really late in the day. I mean, whatever the scenario is, or go out fishing, try to be silent about it, or take the fishing rods with him in his car before going to work, and that way he doesn't have to come back home for anything, just go straight there afterward, and don't give her any explanation. But it depends, because if she has him on a leash, you can't escape. You can't even do that. You have to come back home. That's why the word hate is in here. You're forced to come back home. You can't escape. Once you're in the spider's web, you're done. You find every excuse not to come home early. It's usually, I'm busy at work. Yeah, starting to work overtime. Make your life even more miserable when you don't have to. You know that you won't be able to relax and do your favorite things with your wife in the house. You will be denied privacy too. Yeah, it's really bad. It's disgusting. It's horrible. But you know what? We have to go over this because it's a reality in so many real men's lives out there who are suffering. I'm here to tell them nothing is worth that amount of suffering. And it doesn't matter how bad it is. It's just going to get worse. Abuse is abuse. Get out while you still can. Even if you lock yourself in your room, no doubt your wife will find 100 plus reasons to interrupt your quiet time. Yeah, no respect at all. That's what happens with abusers. They don't care about you one bit. I don't care who they are in your lives. Blood-related family members, wives, husbands. No, it doesn't matter. Not because it can wait. It can't wait. Just because it's annoying to see you having your own time to yourself. Yes, because you have something actually productive to do and they don't. They're all about that Tasmanian devil spinning around destroying anybody and everything. How dare you think about something that may not be related to your wife? Yeah, it's 100% narcissistic. They have to have 100% attention, and then don't think that things are in the clear there. They're gonna still find something to argue about and to blame you about and make you feel miserable about. You feel disrespected and subtly violated in your own home, which is supposed to be your safest place. It's supposed to be home sweet home, right? There's nothing subtle about it. Nothing subtle about abuse. Alright, so you stop dreaming big. This is a big one. Let's face it. You have long forgotten what your favorite things are. Hobbies? Time with friends? With no wife around? A weekend getaway? A yoga retreat? Yes, right. A holiday on your own? A dream that will never happen. I mean, you probably don't even dream about something like this. Who knows? Your wife might be a mind reader, and that will get you into trouble. Yeah, everything's going to get you into trouble. And even when they smile and laugh, I mean, it's so sickening because there's not a real smile or real laugh. It's a fake one. Every single time. And that's why you have to be a keen observer of natural human behavior and life itself. That's where your wisdom comes in, people. You can't just spend your whole life watching sports all day and cat videos. Learn something about human behavior that's not just in the movies and shows and stuff. You have to apply it to your real life. Think back about all the negative experiences that you had, but also think about the good experiences that you had. You want more of the good and less of the bad, and preferably none of the bad. Yes, perfection does exist. As long as you keep saying that it doesn't exist, the more misery is going to be coming into your life, absolutely guaranteed, with that mediocre mindset. In fact, all your leisure time is now spent with your wife, her friends, and her favorite hobbies. Yeah, not yours. Who cares that you don't enjoy them? You might get a social outing with your friends now and then. Yeah, okay. I mean, you're going to be monitored like the KGB. That's just the fact of that. That's the truth. With your wife around and under your wife's strict supervision. There you go. No, it's not supervision. No, that's monitoring like the KGB. That's not, I mean, the word, yes, that's correct, but it's far worse than that. You'll be questioned over what you said to who and who's that person. I got in trouble by my own mother for waving hi to another woman, and she immediately asked me, well, who is that? I mean, I can go on forever on how many times she's demonstrated her blatant abuse. And yeah, you name it, probably experienced it myself. Which is masked up like care and attention to your personal life. Yeah, it's just like governments who say, hey, we're going to take care of you. Hey, wait a minute, read the fine print. Nothing against governments, but We kind of know how you guys roll, right? Where's the taxes? Where's the fees? Where's the fine print? Always be careful whatever you sign in this life. Have your lawyer or some legal advice. That's what I'm trying to say here. It works just the same in a relationship. What's the fine print? Because this is when things go south, and then now you find out just what she's capable of. It's too late. It's too late. The red flags were there before. You probably laughed them away like, let's be fine. Oh, everybody does that. Is that something that could potentially turn to something as dangerous as this? You feel that you lost your personal motivation, dreams, and desires. That's rock bottom, people. I mean, this even gets to the point of Control-Alt-Deleting yourself. To sum it up, you feel that your wife treats you like your mother did. Oh boy. Yeah, but on steroids. It may even come to the wife checking your backpack and your phone. That's the worst. I mean, when you have insecurity issues, trust issues, yeah, that's abuse right there. You start feeling angry, angrier by the day. See, you're starting to become just like her if you allow it to simmer and continue. It's that frog, that boiling frog. Doesn't even have any clue until the water's hot enough. It doesn't matter. You should have jumped out a long time ago, froggy. Angrier by the day. You had your chance. You suppress your anger. Yep, kick the can down the road. This is what happens all the time, and I try to warn people of all different kind of life and relationship scenarios. They're like, yeah, whatever, some people, they just don't want to hear it, and you can't help people who don't want to help themselves. You just can't. So I just move on to the people who really want my help, and they're thankful. And they do it. Other people, this is what they do. They kick the damn can down the road, and they expect things to change. That's the definition of insanity, right? Or you may accumulate so much anger that you start having health problems. Exactly. I've seen completely out of control people online who actually go by the name Angry whatever. You can tell they have a plethora of health problems offline. It's horrible. But they insist. You can't help them. Which seem to come out of nowhere. Many women in abusive relationships can't easily get out because of the sheer power of physical force used against them. Men in abusive relationships, to contrast, can surely do something about it as long as they recognize the signs and realize that they aren't happy about the situation. How can someone with lots of accumulated aggression and no motivation left give and receive love? Okay, let's see what they have to say. Oh, okay. Well, I think, yeah, that's the way she ended the article right there. Some food for thought, so go ahead and take that for what it's worth. I mean, we'll read it one more time. How can someone with lots of accumulated aggression and no motivation left give and receive love? No, they can't. They can't. See, that's what, the love disappears. The love goes out the window. It's destroyed. Nothing but destruction, as I said earlier, the Tasmanian devil reference. It's done. So how do you handle an abusive wife? You don't. It's over. It's done. It's the same as her cheating on you. Abuse is the ultimate form of betrayal along with cheating. Because the cheater is the same thing. Expects you to continue with the relationship like nothing happened. Oh, it won't happen again. Or, you know what, it will happen again and you have to accept it. No, people, that's not a relationship. There's no love. There's no care. It's done. It's finished. Finato. Done. Throw it away. Divorce and break up. There is no solution in those categories of abuse and being cheated on. I mean, what do you expect to happen? That the person's going to change? The line's already been crossed. The war has been declared. It's over. It's you sank my battleship at that point. There's no reason to continue. I mean, unless you want your soul to be sunk as well. All right, let's move on to the second article to see what they have to say about this topic, shall we? All right. Attempts to isolate you. This is what the abusive wife does. Of course. This is a characteristic feature of both male and female manipulation in relationships. So if you have a manipulative wife, you may find that she is always critical of the people you're closest to. Yeah, including your family members. Or those who matter to you. Yeah, your friends. To spot the manipulative woman signs, manipulative woman, She doesn't deserve to be called a woman, but I'll do my best to replace that if I can. Pay attention to the following. Yeah, here we go with red flags. How does she speak of others in relation to you? Is everyone your adversary in her stories? This could be an attempt to isolate you. Yes, that's what happens. Indifference. She is indifferent to how her actions may hurt other people. Yeah, she doesn't care. It's all about her. The whole world revolves around her. She can only see her own point of view, and her actions or words hurt you. That's your problem, not hers. Yeah, because there's no compassion, no consideration. It's just, that's exactly why if you meet somebody who's rude and you're attracted to them, and they're very rude, R-U-D-E, that's a huge red flag. No respect, no decency, nothing. Like no sign of just being civilized and a good candidate for a lifelong relationship. It's not funny to be rude to others. I mean, sometimes if you want to be firm and it's necessary, it's justified, but never to the point where, okay, we're in a relationship, I'm going to be rude and you're supposed to find it funny. All this sarcasm. No, it's not funny. For example, I saw a video today of a husband throwing a pie, a real pie, in the woman in his wife's face, and they're all laughing. That's so disrespectful, and there's 7,000 comments supporting that immature, senseless behavior. There's nothing funny about tossing a pie into your partner's face. What's so funny about that? You know, that's just uneducated. That's just ignorance right there. There are far more fun activities out there. You don't have to be tossing stupid pies in each other's faces and laughing and sharing it with the world, by the way. Everything's hee hee ha ha. It's pathetic. It really is. Like, and then you wonder why we have the world we have these days, when people are still so immature and they actually support such immaturity. Alright, so that's precisely why emotional manipulation by a wife can be immensely draining and difficult to deal with. Yeah, a mismatch between actions and words. If there are... Oh, is there a huge gap between what she says and what she does? For instance, if you've had a falling out with a close friend or a sibling, she may act devastated, but a closer look may suggest otherwise. Oh yes, the covert narcissist. She'll pretend, but she's deep down inside like, yeah, good news. That's awesome news. This could be because she may be gloating on the inside. There you go. That's that deception boiling. For successfully setting in motion a chain of events, that's the schemers. Abusive scheming that lead to the said falling out, controlling your life strings as if you were a puppet and she is the master, is one of the classic manipulative personality traits. Yes, that's exactly what happened to my friend and my friend's son, the person we're talking about. Way before he got married to this covert narcissist who pulls the strings on a daily basis, and he has no idea. Or maybe he does, but he's too scared to do anything about it. But he hasn't shown any signs regarding that he's actually aware. All right, let's continue to see what other things that abusive wives do. Inability to apologize. See, I like this article because it's going into more detail. Yes, they're not going to apologize for anything they do. After a fight, because all they care about is being right, even when they know they're wrong. After a fight, does she complain of headaches? Oh, nice excuse. And says she is feeling unwell and you run to apologize? Yeah, because it's your fault, right? If every fight and every disagreement is followed by the drama that fills you up with guilt and moves you to make it up to her, even when it's not your fault, it's about time you stop bottling up the "my wife is controlling and manipulative" feeling. Oh, there's a sucker born every minute, and then they're destined to be suckers by the time they foolishly choose to rush and get married to the wrong person when all the warning signs were there beforehand. This is how much wisdom and intelligence matter. And yet people, they turn their cheek whenever they hear those two words. Oh, that's boring. I'm already wise and intelligent. No, you're clearly not. Victim mentality. She gives you the silent treatment. Yes, I did a stream on that in my abuse series. I think it's the number one. Yeah, it's the first one, I believe. The silent treatment until you're ready to toe her line. But when you do the same, she accuses you of being indifferent and neglectful. Exactly. See, she's neglecting you, but that's what the narcissist does. And then, she'll blame you for the after effects, for what it causes, her actions, what kind of effects that they cause. Both male and female manipulators have an innate ability to make everything about themselves. As a result, the scales of equality in a relationship are always tipped in their favor. One of the classic manipulative woman signs stemming from this tendency is that she doesn't play by the rules and she makes you conform to. Yes. She'll make up, it's, well, this is how you manipulate entire countries if you want to. You create the problem, you provide the solution. I'll just leave it at that. That's what, controlling manipulative behavior is all about. Abuse thrives on it. Love bombing. Now, this is something that's being discussed. Let's go ahead and get into it. Love bombing is yet another one of the classic manipulative personality traits, and female manipulators know how to use it to their advantage just as well as their male counterparts. She will flood you with attention, admiration, and affection. Yeah, what's going on? What are you hiding there, honey? Spill the beans. What is it? What do you want? Why are you so nice to me all of a sudden? See, this is why genuine affective behavior is a must before you even call yourselves partners. This is what a solid friendship should look like. No signs of deception, no joking around when it comes to serious emotions like this. Because then in the future, you're not going to even know what you're going to start suspecting. And then it's going to become normal, which means a pattern. Not natural, because it's very unnatural. Okay, so until you become accustomed to it, see, now it's normal. It's a habit. It's a vicious, deceptive lifestyle that is accepted by too many immature people out there, and then they wonder why their relationships fail. I'm like, well, the signs were there. You guys are goofing off sarcastically and accepting this negative behavior as, oh, it's okay. This is funny. There's nothing funny about what should be taken seriously. I mean, your life is not supposed to be 100% serious. You can have fun here and there. But when it comes to love, yes, it needs to be 100% serious. Don't be joking around with this stuff, because this is what happens. I mean, they go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and then they turn 180 degrees on you. Now what? No, you never saw it coming? The signs were there. All right. That validation becomes the fuel that feeds your self-worth. Once that dependence is achieved, emotional manipulation by wife... by wife? Okay. May reach the next level, where she withholds this attention and admiration until you concede to doing her bidding. What is thy bidding, my master? Just like Darth Vader said to the Emperor, right? That's exactly what this is, people. From Hollywood to real life. So it could also include sex, not just basic signs of affection in a relationship, withholding sex as a reward. Now, men, including myself, it does feel good to do something good for your soulmate, and then she rewards you with affection of any type. But don't get it twisted. It's supposed to happen regardless if you do something special for your partner or not. See? That's why perfection is supposed to exist, because it shouldn't be only when you do something special. Valentine's Day should be every day. I always say that. But people are like, oh, that's impossible. That's exaggerated. But most people agree with me. But how deep is your love? How strong is your passion? You see what's happening here? So the more you lower your expectations, your daily expectations for yourself and for your partner, the more in danger you jeopardize your relationship down the road. Because you don't expect all of a sudden every day to be Valentine's Day. Oh, that's unrealistic. What else is unrealistic? And then you go down from there and down and down. Instead of raising that bar, you got to raise that bar and do better than last time. And she has to do the same. Otherwise, this is what you're going to end up with one day. Lowered bar. You're going to be doing the limbo so far to the ground. And you're going to wonder, why did our relationship fail? Because you allowed it to on the downward spiral. kicking the can down the road. She turns every argument into your fault. Okay, we've seen this before, but it goes into more detail. One of the signs of manipulative woman is that she will turn everything into your fault and get away as the innocent one. I like the way this is worded better. Here are such examples of manipulation in relationships. That time when she was emotionally unavailable. Oh, that's such a cute word for neglecting you. Honey, I'm emotionally unavailable. Maybe she doesn't even say it. Well, that's pathetic. It was because you were busy for the past 2 days. Wow, nice excuse. She screamed at your mother because she was frustrated with the fact that you do not care she is handling so much. This is so much manipulation. If she flirts with a guy and you object, it is because you do not ever compliment her or give her attention. I have to laugh because this is so devilish. This is so horrible. This is so abusive. It's just like the male who cheats on his wife or girlfriend. Oh, well, I have needs and you just weren't available because you were on your period. Wow, seriously. Seriously, and that's supposed to be your potential lifelong partner right there. Breaking that bond and trust over, well, I had needs and you didn't satisfy me. You know, I mean, if that's the case, then it's time to break up, right? I mean, if it means that much, which it should, but not to such an extreme where this one time you weren't there to meet my needs, so I'm going to cheat on you. Wow, what a coward. And it does work both ways because there are plenty of toxic females out there cheating on their man or their husband. It's a sad reality out there, but, you know, like I said, wisdom and intelligence, that's what's lacking, and that causes a plethora of negative consequences. But let's continue, shall we? If you complain about something, she will turn the tables on you by pointing out past instances when you behaved in the same manner. Oh, man. There's the game playing. There's the silly little games. Well, remember that time when you... Oh, so now that justifies me doing... Okay, so if you thought it was wrong, why are you doing it now? Oh, I'm getting you back. Now we're even. Seriously? If you get mad or upset, it's your fault for having unreasonable expectations. But if she gets mad, it's your fault for upsetting her. Yeah, so you're making me do this to you, right? The abuser said as he pulls out the belt buckle or the switch or the bat and starts physically abusing. You made me do this. No, you're the one doing it. This is one of the trademark signs of a controlling woman. You think? She uses emotional blackmail as a weapon. Yeah, here we go with the mind games. One of the manipulative woman signs in her ability is her ability to blackmail you emotionally. Emotional blackmail may seem very subtle. See, you got to watch out for those subtle signs. They're big red flags. It's all in the details. As they say, the devil's in the details. And harmless at times, but in reality is very damaging. Exactly. It is, in fact, another form of emotional abuse where you make the other person feel guilty about not doing what you want them to do. Everything for her is difficult because she loves you a lot and she will die if you leave her alone. That's exactly what my own mother said. That she'll take her own life if I left the household. I'm like, okay, wait a second. I have to leave the household one day. So does that mean that you're going to take your life anyways? I mean, how does this work? How do I do this amicably and appropriately according to your narcissistic rules? So the same thing in a relationship. This happens all the time. The threat of control alt deleting yourself, right? I'm going to jump off a bridge if you leave me. I mean, no. When somebody loves themselves that much, which they don't, but they only care about themselves, better worded, then they're not going to go through with it. Most likely, they're not going to go through with it. So this is just a way of manipulating you. Oh, no, honey, I don't want that to happen. I'll be a foolish little pushover, a weak man, and I'll be here so you can puppeteer me all day, every day. Yes, my lovely puppet master. She will make you believe that she is the victim here. They always turn the damn tables. Always. It's like a mirror. You're staring at a mirror. That's why it's so difficult. It's like Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee at the very end in a house full of mirrors. How are you supposed to fight in a environment like that? So in a relationship, you can't function that way when it's a mirror effect every single time. It's like you're talking to a mirror. So you can't address a mirror, people. It's like you're all by yourself, which in this case, it's true. A reader, Andrew, wrote to us about how his wife made him abandon his mother. There you go. There you go. And this happens more than you think, people. Abandon his mother, and he couldn't do anything about it. He was under her spell. Exactly. He asked, "Is my wife manipulative?" Oh, you have to ask? And how can I deal with her without wrecking my marriage? What? You want to keep that garbage? You see, this is exactly what happens. And then the men complain when it all goes south to the point of divorce or breakup. Oh, all women are like this. No, they're not. It's because you allowed things to get to this point. Okay? Sadly, Andrew was married to a manipulative woman, and you could be as well if you can relate to the following. Exactly. Let's see what the following is, by the way. You know, I mean, you got to accept responsibility for your own actions. You know, this is exactly why poor parenting is such a big problem, because then when these kids become adults, they have no idea what a healthy, loving relationship is. No idea, especially the kids who grew up with a single parent and they didn't learn from anybody. That's why I appreciate life coaches and relationship coaches such as myself. We're here for anybody and everybody. It's like pro bono. You know, we do it out of the kindness of our hearts. And I'm actually an author and a content producer, working meticulously to help change people's lives, online and offline, especially offline. You get a lot more serious people. But instead, you're dealing with this complete zoo most of the time of fear and lack of wisdom and intelligence. And then they all wonder why everything goes south. I'm talking about every relationship you could imagine, family, friends, and of course, the romantic relationship, which is no longer romantic. It's just all about being controlled and laughing about it. Does she suffer dramatically and publicly until you feel you must give her what she wants? Oh, wow. Yeah, causing a scene. Does she threaten to harm herself to get you to do or not to do something? We talked about that. She uses, but some people cut themselves. Keep that in mind. You know, they'll do some torturous things, like they'll slam their head up against the wall and claim that you hit her. You know, I mean, there's some really, I can't get into more specifics. It's really bad. She uses your weaknesses against you. Absolutely. That's what any opponent would do. Identify and utilize what they have identified as your weakness and use it against you. So, how do you know she's manipulative? Well, one of the signs of manipulative women is that they will use your weaknesses against you. For instance, let's say your wife knows you love your daughter a lot. Oh boy. This is just like a narco trafficker, man. Does she tell you often that she would leave home with her if you do not comply with her demands? Wow, that's a terrorist right there. Yeah, believe it, people. This happens every day. It's a sad story, but it's so true. And so many different aspects of an abusive person in your life. It doesn't matter what the scenario is. There's way too much to cover. All the different scenarios. Is she someone who makes a spectacle of your failures? Yeah, you got to capitalize on that, don't you? You know, you got to add insult to injury. Compares you to other men, oh boy, and makes you seem incompetent. And here's a big red flag, people. If your girl or wife, whatever the situation is, starts comparing your you-know-what down below, men out there, to say, well, I don't think you're the biggest. You know what? I'm just saying because I've heard it plenty of times. Lots of forums as well, because they're too scared to even talk about it. But yes, that is a big problem. If that's a huge red flag right there, that's a form of disrespect that it can go both ways as well, and it actually does. That's not a healthy relationship from the get-go. If that ever comes up, the size of your manhood in an insulting way, I'm just putting that out there because it happens all the time. That's just one topic within the sexual realm of disrespect that should not be accepted. That's a huge, obvious red flag. Unfortunately, many guys just go along with it anyway. And so she's only going to continue to belittle you in other ways. Oh, that small little brain in your skull, or whatever it is. Or you have no heart because you don't care about this dog that I care about and who's stray dog. We should adopt him. We should pay more money to take care. Whatever the case is, there's so many different avenues. I'm just going to stop right there. And if you ask for something she does, oh, does she make you feel that you have not lived up to her expectations in the relationship and thus have no right to ask for things for her? Yeah. That's holding it hostage, right? Affection and consideration. You got to do as she says. You're her slave. You're definitely married to a manipulative woman in that case. No, I mean a slave owner. Better worded, right? She is a decision maker. Here we go with the pants again. Manipulative women signs stem from a singular driving force, control. Absolutely. It is no surprise then that a wife who's manipulative will do what it takes to establish and retain that control. If in your marriage you are the one who keeps on nodding and agreeing to everything, yeah, you're a pushover. Everything she says and does, you know that you have a wife who's manipulative. In such cases, she may be the one to make decisions about, let's see here, financial decisions such as investments. Now, you know what? That should be mutual. The holidays you go on, that's mutual. Who you should or shouldn't socialize with, no. I mean, unless it's somebody dangerous, that's as a warning, but you're free to socialize with whoever in the end. Now, take that with a grain of salt, because if she's talking to another guy and they're laughing all hee hee ha ha, and you suspect that it's something inappropriate going on, well, you have a reasonable suspicion to question and say, hey, what's going on here? You know, because that's when the trust goes out. She shouldn't be socializing in that fashion with the opposite sex. I mean, if it's job related, fine, but there's such thing as going too far, right? That's why the women out there are so insecure, and they get jealous and envious of if you have to speak to women at your work, or if it's not work related, it's just a friendship. No, that's a danger. I'll have to do a stream on that one day. Having friends of the opposite gender outside of your relationship, there really should be no need for that. Especially when it comes to exes, there's no such thing as friendships in the future when you're with somebody new. Stop it. The school your kids should go to, well, that should be, see, all these things should be discussed together, not one person deciding which brand of air conditioner you should upgrade to. Seriously? You see how many different aspects can be involved in this topic? Which car is good for your family? Oh boy, she decides everything for both of you as well as your family. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's exactly the worst case I've seen of a covert narcissist. Oh my goodness, controlling everything. Well, she may ask for your opinion, but you know that in the end, you will end up doing what she thinks is right. In a healthy relationship, a couple decides on things after discussing them with one another. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Both of you have to discuss everything. It's 50-50, 100% of the time, all the way. A single person making all the decisions for two people is a sign of manipulation and a definite red flag that indicates an unhealthy relationship. Now, okay, let's say it's washing the dishes, doing laundry. Yes, that should always be mutual whenever possible. But let's say he's the one working, he's the breadwinner, and she's a stay-at-home wife, you know, stay-at-home mom, housewife. There's nothing wrong with that, but once in a while when the guy comes home, just chip in a lending hand. Maybe she didn't have a good day. Being a housewife, I'll have to do another stream on that too. Well, a stream on that, because being a housewife is a full-time job if you do it right, the way it should be done. Doesn't mean it has to be super stressful, but it is a highly responsible task, especially when kids are involved. There's a lot going on to maintain the house, so just keep that with a grain of salt there. A single person making all the decisions. Yes, exactly. It could be an unhealthy relationship. Number 6, she victimizes herself every time. One of the biggest signs of manipulative people is their ability to play the victim card. Yes, I did streams on this recently. To perfection. Ironic use of words there. So you may find out that, okay, what are we going to find out? She projects herself as someone who's stressed about making all the decisions for the family. Oh my goodness, that's my mother right there. Oh my goodness, it's everybody else's fault, her responsibilities. She will exaggerate her illnesses to this day. She might make up white lies, that means like supposedly innocent lies that are okay, about how she is being ostracized. Oh my goodness. She might often speak of how selfless she is and how cruel everyone around her is to her. Yes, that's where it comes into the mental illness department. Like, are you out of your mind? Do you even hear yourself talking right now? Yeah, she paints herself as a hero when she's the one who's manipulative and controlling and abusive. It's really sick, but that's what we're talking about. It usually involves building an irrelevant entrapment, very powerful word there, in which she plays a victim in order to trigger the knight in shining armor side of you. Exactly. These are classic traits of a manipulative person. Such people often use emotional reactions to support their acts. Yes, because they're actors. They're not ever genuine. They always play this like they have a mask that they're wearing constantly. You will see dollops of tears and sadness. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But in your absence, she will be perfectly fine. Or smiling. Getting what she wants. There's a tears of happiness right there. That she's getting what she wants. Because she fooled you not just once, twice, or thrice. But forevermore. So, while you are being victimized here, outsiders will feel the opposite is true. Absolutely. But maybe you can't see it. That's the problem, right? If you don't have eyes to see and ears to hear and a mind to really think about it, or a heart to actually feel about it, you're done. You're going to be her puppet forever. She blames you for everything that's going wrong. One of the classic signs of manipulation is that every time she is in a tough spot in her life, yeah, it's your fault. All right, so let's go ahead and proceed. We're almost done with this article. She may keep saying that just because she married you or had to change her area of residence, which cost her friends. I can't stand that. You're supposed to be mature enough to make such important, lifelong, consequential, responsible decisions, and then you just turn around and blame your partner for it. Oh, well, because of you, I stopped doing this. Well, because of you, my family now this, and my friends that, and my job, and seriously, so you want to have your cake and eat it too? Like, you seriously, it's not about compromise and sacrifice. It's about making decisions that you agree with. You both mutually agree with. Don't be surprised about what the potential consequences or the solid, you knew far early enough consequences that were going to happen. Now you're going to act all surprised and blame it on your partner. It's just so immature, people. These are not real men and women. These are just insane, absolutely insane people you want to stay far away from. Not even with a 20-foot pole. Nowhere close to these people. I don't care how pretty they look, by the way. She will claim that she has been fired from her job because you do not help out with the kids. Well, that was your decision to have kids, honey. Oh my goodness. It's not, see, you guys have a new responsibility to do your best as parents. And if it affects something, well, that's too bad, right? Comes with the package. Just make the best out of the scenarios. But if they can't do that, they're going to start the pointing the finger game. The blaming game. She might blame the stress of managing a home for a huge fight between you two. Yeah. Like I said, being a housewife is a huge task. Lots of responsibility. Anybody who says otherwise is not doing it right. Oh boy. This way, she will make you seem responsible for her sadness and her personal failures, and she will keep blaming you for things you did, you did not do until you give up and apologize. The only way to deal with this solution without letting the exaggerated blame shifting take a toll is to segregate facts from fiction. Yeah, I mean, if you can. When your partner blames you for something, ask for facts and evidence and then address them one by one. You know, there's a point of no return, people. I mean, if it's beyond the point of no return, no reasoning, no logic, you can't even bargain. I mean, it's over. That's why communication, they always said, is key in any relationship. You know how many people just gloss over that all the time? Yeah, communication. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know all that. No, you clearly don't, because now you're divorced because of that, or now you're breaking up with your girlfriend because you had no idea how to communicate, what proper healthy communication looks like, what it's supposed to feel like. Where are you guys going as leaders in the relationship, building something special with each other? You know, I mean, because there's you, there's her, and then there's a relationship, the real baby. You can have physical babies, but the real child here, the one that you're going to nurture into a big, nice, strong tree that can't be tumbled over. That's the relationship that you guys are building. Making love. Building something together. But nope, everybody's just out for themselves. I don't have to learn about wisdom and intelligence or how to identify this and that. I don't need to read books and watch courses, and I don't need a coach. I don't need my parents. I don't need my friends. I don't need strangers telling me this. And then they go out there and they fail because they didn't learn anything. Self-taught, right? At the very least. Actually ponder upon it for once. Stop and smell the roses. Take it easy. Take it nice and slow. No, just too good for that. And so don't come crying back. Don't. Don't come back all crying and saying, this is my fault. You didn't take my hand. Or your parents' fault, or your brother's or sister, whatever the case is. Don't go pointing fingers at everybody else except for yourself. You want it to be ignorant. It's all on your shoulders, buddy. All right. So she'll never apologize. We've read this already, so you can read that if you want. She will have frequent emotional outbursts. Okay, this is interesting. Do you have no idea about how to know if you're being manipulated? Well, one of the well-known traits of a manipulative person is that they will tend to be emotionally unstable or volatile. Yes, that's why I always say mental and emotional stability. So important. A wife who's manipulative can make your life a living hell by throwing emotional tantrums. That's why I always say maturity is key. But too many people are like, yeah, whatever. At the drop of a hat. Here are such examples of manipulation in relationships. All right, let's go ahead and proceed, shall we? It's absolutely amazing. The moment such women realize they won't win an argument with logic, there you go, that magic word logic. They start crying or yelling so that you end up pacifying her instead, like a little baby. No maturity. It's all immaturity. I swear. This is like the cause of a huge percentage of breakups and divorces is just lack of maturity. They never even cared to develop it, their level of intelligence and wisdom. They're like, yeah, whatever. She will cry and get you to do things for her. Yeah, there you go. Put on a show. She will give you ultimatums, such as either you do this my way or I start telling people about, wow. And this may include some embarrassing situation or private conversation that shouldn't be made public. Yeah, be very careful who you confide in. With all your secrets in life and secret desires and personal thoughts and opinions, be very careful, people. You got to be 100% sure. That's why perfection exists. Either you're 100% sure or you're 1% unsure, which could turn into 100% unsure in the future. There is no room for error. You wouldn't get on a plane with a broken engine or a 1% damaged engine, would you? So why would you jump into a relationship with a 1% possibility that things could go south very quick? Oh, that won't happen. And here it is happening right in front of your face. Never saw it coming. No, you were supposed to see it coming. That's on you. So, if you're clueless about how to know if you're being manipulated, that is, and living with such a woman can be, well, a female. abusive female. It could be emotionally draining for any man. Absolutely. I mean, that's abusive. That's going to cause PTS, post-traumatic stress. Not necessarily a disorder. She cozies up to you and compliments you in a sexy tone to get you to do her a favor. Yeah, that's just sick. That's sick. You know, tis for tat. You know, tit for tat. This for that. It's really bad. She sweet talks you about, out of meeting your friends because she wants you to spend the weekend with her. You know, if it's sweet talk, that's bad. I mean, you should want to spend the weekend with her. I mean, you know, the more you love your partner, the less you want to spend with friends and family. That should be obvious. I do go over friends and family in my book extensively. So this is kind of with a grain of salt. Now, the sweet talk is the key words here. You shouldn't be manipulated to doing something you don't want to do. But at the same time, don't be neglecting your partner when you have precious time to spend with each other. Oh, let me go spend it with my friends. Okay, and then you're going to wonder why your relationship is diminishing over time because you keep going out with your friends. Who are you married to? Your friends or your partner? I mean, no, it's not too serious. It's a real question. You know, who's the one with the wedding band on? What about the vows? Did you vow to your friends that you'll always be there just as much you'll be there for your wife? If she's a great wife, you should be a great husband and put her every time first. Why don't you both go out with your friends if that's the case? Don't just leave her all alone. And if she doesn't want to go, now you have to make a decision. Yes, it is like that. Because otherwise, it's not a lifelong relationship if you don't put her first and if she doesn't put you first. See where I'm going with that? There's a lot of details there too that I have to squeeze in, but let's continue on. She flirts around to seek attention. Well, that's a huge red flag, isn't it? But when you confront her, she ends up speaking to you softly and sweetly to make it seem like an innocent... No. It's not camaraderie. Well, these are all signs of a manipulative woman, a disrespectful woman, not a female, rather, who may be using you just to get her way, and she is definitely a pro at smooth talking. No, she's a pro at being deceptive and abusive and narcissistic and immature. Not a woman. She will use sex as a manipulative tool, absolutely. We already discussed that. So apart from using emotional intimacy as a tool to get things done, she will also often use sex as a way to get her way. Yeah, exactly. Don't have to go too deep into that. She will get physical with you at her whims and fancies without considering your pleasure. Yeah, that's selfishness, isn't it? She will have sex with you just before asking you for a favor, such as, yeah, that's weaponizing sex. She will be withholding affection or sex when she can't get her way. Yeah, this is just, what was the point of getting married? You know, if the intimacy is starting to go out the window, what was the point? You know, because if that's the point, you end up masturbating, then what was the point? You know, sexual pleasure is extremely important in any relationship. I don't care what anybody says. Otherwise, it's just companionship. You could just go buy a dog and go buy a cat. Go buy some sex toys if that's the case. Don't waste somebody's life who's really serious about the relationship and start weaponizing sex. I'm not saying that you have to demand and expect. I'm saying if the urge isn't there, something's very wrong. Big red flag. Because once the sexual attraction goes out the window, everything else is going to crumble. In fact, that is actually the underground stabilization, the foundation of any relationship that's lifelong, is the sexual and sensual pleasures. Because that produces love and care for the rest of the house of love that you guys are building together. You know, the insulation, the walls, everything, the roof. It's the house of love has to be stronger than any foundation, any building. Let's go ahead and continue here. All right, wondering how to know if you're being manipulated. Yeah, so telltale sign you can't overlook. Absolutely. Okay, all right, good stuff. So, all right, we reached the end here. Took a little longer than I expected, but nonetheless, we have reached the end here. So, My closing words: manipulation, chronic arguments, insults, neglect, lies, narcissism, ungratefulness, physical violence, public humiliation, fear, paranoia, regrets, misery, unhappiness. The list goes on and on and on and on. Red flag after red flag, people. So don't come all surprised that it failed. Any one of these red flags alone could spell the end of an otherwise healthy, functioning relationship. So, know when to end an unhealthy relationship. Okay, so big welcome to my new subscribers. Be sure to catch up with me by reading my book and watching my 1-hour video course. Before I sign off, let me go ahead and see if there's anybody in the chat, because we have been streaming for quite a while and sometimes we do get comments. So let me go ahead and check the chat, see if there's any sign of intelligent life out there. And it looks like we do. So welcome, C4. It's been a little while. That rings true. If one doesn't put a stop to it, it becomes one's own fault. Absolutely. You did 100 streams, beast mode. Thanks so much, C4. Well, yeah, I got to lay down the C4 and you got to ignite it, right? You hit the detonation button. Thank you so much for your positive caring comments. I really appreciate it. And everybody go check out C4's channel. With that said, I'm going to end it right here. Hope you guys have found this interesting or educational. And if not, for whatever reason, please pass it on to somebody who does need to listen to this, because guess what? They're most likely or possibly going to be failing in a future relationship or their current relationship if you don't. So it's not about me. It's about the information being presented and also my further tips and pointers and insight. So hope you guys take this really seriously, and I'll try to bring up probably less depressing topics, but this one just needed to be covered because it does happen to men. Men are being abused the same as women being abused. It goes both ways. There's abusive mothers and fathers. There's abusive siblings. There's abusive friends. There's abuse is evil, people, and it's everywhere. Like it or not, it's going to happen. The point is not to have it happen in anywhere in your life and to avoid it like an illness that you don't want, because it will infect you if you allow it to. And then guess what? The only person to have to blame is yourself for allowing it to get that far. So don't allow things to get that far. That's why I say in my book, in my 1-hour video course, must eliminate all forms of negativity. At the single second that you see it, boom, done, get out of my life. It's that simple. Otherwise, you're going to be living a nightmare, and then you're going to claim that that's life. No, that's not life. That's lack of taking responsibility for yourself. Lack of taking action. All right, so much love, everybody. Till next time.